Hello and welcome. Today we're taking a deep look into the year ahead, into 2025. And it really feels like a year perched on a knife's edge. We're going to unpack some of the huge forces shaping our world, from these incredible scientific leaps to some pretty serious global tensions. All right, let's get into it.
And really, this is the big question, isn't it? For 2025, are we looking at a year of amazing breakthroughs or a year of breakdown? Because on one side, we are right on the verge of revolutions in medicine and tech. But on the other, our economic and political worlds feel more shaky than they have in a long, long time. So which way are the scales going to tip?
Let's kick things off with the most hopeful story out there right now, science. See, for years, the world of medicine has been kind of stuck, battling this really frustrating problem that's made life-saving drugs just unbelievably expensive and slow to create.
And that problem has a name. It's called Eroom's Law. It's a pretty clever name, actually. It's literally Moore's Law spelled backwards, and it just perfectly sums up the challenge. While all our technology gets exponentially cheaper and faster, creating new medicines has been getting exponentially more expensive.
Yeah, this comparison is just, wow, it's so striking. We've all felt Moore's Law in our own lives, right? Our phones get ridiculously powerful every couple of years. But in the labs, researchers have been fighting the complete opposite trend, this Eroom's Law. And that's meant more money and more time for fewer and fewer breakthroughs.
I mean, the numbers are just hard to wrap your head around. We're talking over $2 billion and often more than a decade of work just to get one single new drug onto the market. The risk is massive. Less than 1 in 10 drugs that even make it to human trials ever get approved. It's a system that has been absolutely screaming for a revolution.
And well, that revolution is finally here. Artificial intelligence, it's turning out to be the one force that can actually break Eroom's Law. It's on the verge of making drug discovery faster, cheaper, and way more likely to succeed.
And look, this isn't some pie-in-the-sky prediction for the future. This is happening right now. Just listen to this from the startup InSilico. 18 months and less than $3 million. That is a seismic shift, an absolute game changer in that early phase of drug development, a stage that used to take years and eat up about a third of that $2 billion price tag.
But AI's impact isn't just about finding old-school drugs more efficiently. No, it's unlocking entirely new kinds of medicine, stuff that's tailored specifically to your body. And the most exciting example of this? Personalized cancer vaccines. Just look at this timeline. It shows how incredibly fast this can all happen. In just 6 weeks, doctors can go from taking a tiny sample of a patient's tumor to creating a unique mRNA vaccine that literally teaches their own immune system to go hunt and kill those specific cancer cells. 2025 is going to be a huge year for this tech, with major trial results coming out, and some of these treatments could even get close to FDA approval.
Okay, so while our science labs are buzzing with optimism, the picture gets, well, a lot murkier when we turn to the global economy. For 2025, the story isn't one of everybody moving forward together, but of completely different realities playing out all over the world.
This quote, it just captures one side of that story so perfectly. It's been a decade since the big commodities boom ended, and resource-rich countries like Angola are really struggling. The legacy of that boom? It's empty buildings and mountains of debt. In fact, over half the government's money is now going just to pay off those debts.
And this has created what the IMF is calling a two-track continent. The traditional giants, the big oil and mineral exporters like Nigeria and South Africa, they're lagging behind. But at the same time, economies like Rwanda and the Ivory Coast, who had to diversify, they're now some of the fastest-growing economies in the entire world. Now let's jump to the other side of the world, because the United States is heading into the new year in surprisingly great shape, really defying all those predictions of a recession. It's actually the only major economy where output is higher than it was expected to be before the pandemic.
So what's going on? A huge piece of the puzzle is the job market. With unemployment holding steady right around 4%, the labor market has just been remarkably strong, and that strength provides a really powerful foundation for the whole economy.
And at the same time, the other huge piece of good news is inflation. It looks like that painful fight is pretty much won, with prices expected to settle back down to the Fed's 2% target. It's the perfect recipe for what they call a soft landing, taming inflation without causing a big recession. So, if things are looking so good, what could possibly derail this positive momentum?
Well, the biggest question mark hanging over the US economy isn't really economic at all. It's political.
The incoming Trump administration brings an agenda with some really big and honestly unpredictable risks. So on one hand, supporters will point to potential growth from things like deregulation and more tax cuts, but on the other hand, economists are watching two major risks very closely. Widespread tariffs, which could drive up prices for all of us, and mass deportations, which could actually strip the economy of workers, possibly fueling inflation and hurting growth.
And you know, that political uncertainty in the U.S. brings us to our last theme and maybe the most challenging one, the state of global geopolitics, which is entering 2025 in a deeply, deeply fragile state. This quote from a bipartisan commission, it does not mince words. It paints a picture of a world where major conflicts are a very real possibility, and it argues that America just isn't prepared. The new president is inheriting multiple active wars and really serious tensions rising in Asia.
So, how is the new president going to respond to all this? Well, it's not straightforward, because there isn't one single Republican foreign policy. It's more like a tug of war between three different camps. You've got the primacists who want to maintain U.S. leadership everywhere, the prioritizers who want to focus all resources on the challenge from China, and then the restrainers who think America should just pull back and focus at home. And the new president? He's shown he leans towards all three, at different times.
And the rest of the world? They're not just sitting around waiting to see what happens. Leaders are already making their own calculations based on this coming shift. Just take Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. His decisions right now are being driven less by military strategy and more by pure political survival. He's trying to hold his coalition together, avoid a political disaster, and basically buy time until a new and what he hopes will be a more favorable U.S. administration is in office.
So, okay, we've seen incredible hope in our labs, we've seen growing divides in our economies, and we've seen deep, deep peril in our politics. How on earth do we bring these threads together to make sense of the year ahead?
I think the best way to understand 2025 is as a series of these epic tugs of war. You've got the incredible hope of AI fighting against the old laws of biology and economics. You've got the reality of our diverging economies pulling against our deeply interconnected world. And you have that rising geopolitical risk pulling against this fundamental human desire for just a little bit of stability.
And that brings us to our final question. We have the tools, we have the genius to solve immense problems, everything from incurable diseases to climate change. But we are also driven by political ambition, by old historical grievances, and by fear. In 2025, the balance of our world might just depend on which of those forces proves stronger.